Here. Okay. All right, welcome everybody. Tonight, we're gonna open up the meeting Tuesday, October 24th. And we will start off before we get going with a attendance. Maddie?
Okay, Eric Talbot.
Here.
Nina Aaron.
Here.
Phil Maria.
Here.
Carla Elliott. Here. Isabel Wynn.
Here.
And Chair Roy.
I am here. Thank you. Okay, so before we get into anything, we do have a couple of minutes that need to be approved from I think 2 past meetings. So I just want to make sure that we have. I'll start off with the July 25th meeting where we had myself, Nina, Bobby who's not here, Brenda who's not here, Carla and Bill. So I think that we do have 4 members: Carla, Bill, Nina, and myself. So I can have a motion from one of those 4 to approve the minutes from July 25th.
Maria, motion to approve the minutes, July 25th.
Leah, second the motion.
All right, I guess we'll do a quick roll call.
Eric Talbot.
Aye.
Actually, so Eric was not at that
Oh,
meeting.
yeah, sorry.
Oh, the only, okay.
I was like, just, give
All right.
a stamp it.
So who else may I call on?
So it will be Nina, myself, Carla, and Bill.
Gotcha. Carla Elliott.
Aye.
Phil Maria.
Aye.
Nina Aaron.
Aye.
And Chair Roy.
Aye.
Thank you.
All right, so those minutes pass, and then we are also now going to look quickly at September 28th, which we have 1, 2, 3. So we actually we keep on deferring one out to the future, so we do not have a form for that. So table that to next one. Okay, so with that said, hopefully I realize I'm not speaking directly to the microphone. Hopefully I'm still audible. I'll try to talk loud, but I've been talking all day. So we're going to go into new business. The first item on the agenda is Water Street, Planning Board 13-2021, and this is an application for a second 6-month extension of the subdivision approval. So we have the applicant here.
Yeah, we have Chris. Hey, Chris, we brought you over, so if you could unmute and turn on your camera. Hello.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having us tonight. Since we've last been before you, we've made some great progress with Con Ed. We've executed 2 of the 3 agreements, and the last agreement we're pretty much at the finish line and should get wrapped up next couple weeks. We're expected to be in the Brownfield program within the next week or so. We're pushing along the design and currently in the DD phase and should have those drawings by the end of the year, if not sooner. This morning, we met with village staff on site to talk about the Greenway extension and how we're going to move that process forward. And lastly, my staff has had multiple meetings with HCR, and we're expected to close probably the second quarter of 2024 and start construction immediately after that. So we're really happy with the progress we made over the last 6 months, and we're looking for one more 6-month extension to hopefully get us into the building phase.
Okay. So it sounds like to date, nothing has changed with the subdivision plan. That's everything is as it was when it was initially approved.
That's correct.
Right. Valerie, is there anything that we should be kind of looking at or asking right now?
No, but I think let's talk about just in terms of administration. So if you run out your next 6 months, then you'll have to reapply. Is there any way to move forward with the subdivision plat?
Well, they've got 6 months, so
Right.
if they're hoping to close in
Right.
say the first quarter or second quarter, they have to have the plat filed before they close.
Right, so
So,
just
yeah.
try to keep that in mind, because I think it probably would be better if you're able to file the plat prior to actually having to come back for a new subdivision application.
We plan on doing so.
Great. Any questions from the board? Okay. So this is an extension request, so there's no public hearing component of it. Can I have a motion from the board to approve the 6-month extension?
Nina Aaron, motion to approve the 6-month subdivision extension.
Leah, second the motion.
And a roll call. We can use all of us this time.
Thank you. Eric Talbot,
Aye.
Nina Aaron,
Aye.
Carla Elliott,
Aye.
Bill Maria,
Aye.
Isabel Wynn. Aye. And Chair Roy.
Aye, very good, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Tony.
All right. We are going to now move on to a BAR item. This is a new item, 72 Croton Avenue, and it's a BAR request for a facade, a series of facade alterations. So we have the applicant present for this.
We have at least one. Give me
Okay.
1 second. Mark, Sherry. I think that's everybody.
Okay.
Sherry, you should be on your way over. Robert, are you associated with this application? Are you Mr. Lena? Raise your hand. Sherry, it says you're declining to be added as a panelist, so I'm just gonna put you on allow to talk.
Hi, sorry, I was having some issues with Zoom. Also, Robert Putterman is on the call. He is
Family
associated.
guy. Yes.
Very good. All right, so I think what we'll do is maybe if we can get the drawings put up on the Zoom, and then we'll let whoever from the applicant team would like to kind of present the project for us. And then we'll move forward with questions and the public.
And Sherry, if you're able to share your screen, I don't know if you're able because you're on allow to talk, but that would be helpful as well.
I know Mark Joyce is
I
gonna share.
can,
Yeah.
oh, all right.
Not
There
the-
we go.
No, I'm sorry, turn your camera on, I misspoke.
Oh, okay, sure.
Excuse me. Okay, so I'm not driving, right? This is shared from your side. Okay. My name is Mark Joyce, Associate Principal at Phase Zero Design. We are the architects for the project. We've done several Valvoline instant oil changes kind of up and down the East Coast. This one in particular is a little bit unique in that it's not a ground up. It's a renovation of an existing facility. And there's a little bit of a ownership difference here, but the project is generally pretty simple. We're doing, as was mentioned, we are doing a facade renovation, upgrading the facade to bring the Valvoline more into sort of what the design criteria for the flag is, and we're doing some repair and remediation on the interior for the floor slab. So I'll just touch on, you can stop at this drawing here. I'll just touch on the interior renovation portion. Some of, I'm sure you've all been to a Valvoline or one of the quick oil change facilities out there. You drive your car in, the magic happens below your car. They change your oil and you drive out. So there is a basement level within the facility. That's where they mainly do the work. This particular facility, just because of the age of it, there has been some deterioration in the structural steel that supports the floor. So we're removing a portion of that floor and reframing it. But the major component to the renovation is primarily exterior. So in a nutshell, we are replacing the aluminum storefront glazing. It'll be a low E glazing insulated, 1-inch insulated panel. The aluminum storefront framing will be red, which is sort of the Valvoline red. And excuse me, number one. Number two, we're sort of reskinning the building, doing a metal lath and plaster, kind of a tradition. Not so much that this is kind of a nod to tradition. It's more of a cost situation. We're not doing an EIFS skinning of the building. We're doing a metal lath and plaster. That metal lath and plaster will be painted to the sort of the Valvoline color scheme. The base of the building will receive a stone cladding and a stone cap that you've probably seen around. It's like an Eldorado or I can't think of the other name of the manufacturer, but a stone cladding material. So there'll basically be sort of 4 different colors and textures, if you will, on the building. Kind of the upper left on this drawing shows the stone cladding. And then we switch to the stucco materials, which are sort of two-toned tans. The red is the aluminum caps at the top of the building, and also the aluminum storefront in the entry doors. We are upgrading the signage. I think a separate signage package has been submitted, which is, yeah, so that was prepared by excuse me, Valvoline sign vendor. So that should be in line with what I'm sort of showing for signage, but absolutely the signage vendor is more accurate in terms of the depiction and dimensioning of the signs. But I mean, basically there's sort of the entry sign into the garage bays or into the service bays. And then there's building face signage depicting Valvoline Insta oil change. Those will be affixed to the building. They're internally lit. I don't believe we're depicting any kind of like monument sign or pylon sign in this particular project. And honestly, that's it. We're not doing anything to the roof that I'm aware of. Maybe Regal Restoration might be able to correct me on that. We're really not anticipating.
No, we're not.
Okay, thank you, Robert. We're not anticipating doing much on the interior in terms of upgrading interior finishes or so on. It's strictly a exterior facade upgrade in order to kind of, like I say, bring this particular facility more in line with what the Valvoline flag design criteria is.
Great, thank you very much. So,
okay.
I mean, first basic question, this is maybe for Joe or staff, just want to make sure that we're okay with the signage and that's all code compliant in terms of its location, sizing, etc. And I don't know if that's maybe a Joe question.
Looked at that.
Yeah, I think you did.
Yeah, the signs seem to be in compliance for what is required for the facade sign.
Great. And then, lighting, you said that the signs themselves they're internally lit. It's just for like a dusk and nighttime glow. Are they 24 hours? How does that work?
Robert, maybe you can jump in.
It's a internally lit sign.
But are they lit
Hours?
off? Are they lit off hours, Robert, or is it just strictly while the facility is open?
They go off at midnight.
Okay.
I'm assuming that's okay. I think that the presentation is pretty straightforward. I think it's clear in terms of material, in terms of color. I'd like to open this up to the board for any questions or comments. No? Okay, I think it's all right. Staff, are there any questions that we should be asking that we haven't yet?
No, I didn't have any.
Okay. Can I have a motion from the board to open a public hearing on this application?
I would be a motion to open for public hearing. Isabel Lynn, I second the motion.
Any objections? No objections, the motion carries. We're now in the public hearing. Is there anybody here from the public, either in the room or over Zoom? If you would like to speak and you're on Zoom, you can use the hand raise function. The only hand that's up right now, I know, is one of the participants. I don't see any hands on Zoom. I don't see anybody in the room here to speak. Can I have a motion from the board to close the public hearing on this application?
Motion to close the public hearing.
Isabel Lynn, I second the motion.
Any objections? No objections, the motion carries. Public hearing is closed. And this is pretty straightforward. Unless there are any other questions or comments from the board, we have an application. Yes, awesome.
Two questions.
Yep.
Can we pull up the existing Google Maps?
Oh. Caught me off guard.
Sorry.
Can you please repeat that?
We're pulling up the Google map.
Looking at the street view.
Give me 1 second. A lot of screens to manage here.
You did a very good job.
We need to go around front, or does that do the trick?
Yeah, it was just the two, row down, the two row down, entrance or gates. I saw a note on the drawings that this is existing to remain, but it looks a little different, so, is it being replaced? Because the rendering shows something that's solid, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you?
The,
So-
the, go ahead, Robert.
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mark.
No, you can speak to speak to construction scope. I was
Yeah,
only
I mean-
going to say
No, all we're doing is replacing the doors, like kind.
By the door, the storefront, I understand, the two row down gates, they're also being replaced.
that's that's the intent. Yes, we just didn't define. We didn't depict them in the rendering, but they would be removed and replaced in kind with what you're seeing in that photograph, or what you're seeing in that Google map.
So the color would be per your rendering, but the
Yeah, I think it would be the white. I don't believe they're going to pull in the red on the doors. I don't believe that that's what they typically.
No, there's no
do.
red on. There's no red.
Right,
No red.
right. And quite honestly, I think the red would be a bit jarring.
and,
I agree.
Yeah, and my last comment is on the roof, there are some notes about like gutters are existing to remain. I guess they're going to be patch and pair. So are they all going to be painted afterwards? So they're all uniform and consistent?
Absolutely, yes.
are the gutters internal? I mean, is it
No, the building is pitching from front to back into a gutter and downspout, aluminum gutters and downspouts. So those would all be the same red color as the aluminum coping.
they're good questions? Thanks, Isabel.
Just a general note overall, there's a lot of notes on the drawings that says repair as needed. So as repair as needed, we just want to make sure that the repair looks integrated and just not patchy. That's my comment.
Absolutely, yes, right.
Thank you. Okay, and that could, I think, be a condition, is that all repairs are done kind of in a neatly workmanlike manner. And properly integrated into the overall repair of the facade.
So let's talk about that.
Okay.
Do we want to say that all repairs will match existing material, proposed material?
Proposed materials, yeah. Means that
They're
the phrase
reskinning the whole-
integrate seamlessly. I like what I think what Isabel said. I think was a nice phrase.
Integrated, yeah. If they're reskinning the whole building, I would think that would take care of
Yeah,
integrating the repairs.
agreed.
Right, I just want to make sure that we don't end up in a situation where, let's just say, they pick a color white and there's already a white that's existing, a white that's proposed, but it's slightly different white, but they're considering integrating, but you wouldn't be considering integrating. So like, I just want to make sure, because when the village gives a CO for this, Joe's gonna go out on the site and then make sure that, you know what I mean? So I just want to make sure that this board's gonna be.
I think
It will definitely not look like a patch. It will look very clean and consistent. Trust me.
I think that the threshold of Valerie can be the approved renderings.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay, so that's important. Any other kind of final thoughts? Those are super helpful. Okay, then can I have a motion from the board to approve the application with the noted conditions?
Nina Aaron, motion to approve the application with the noted conditions.
And a roll call.
There's needs a second.
Oh, we do need a second.
Carla, do you accept the motion?
All right, now.
Eric Talbot,
Aye.
Nina Aaron,
Aye.
Carla Elliott. Aye. Bill Maria,
Aye.
Isabel Wynn,
Aye.
Chair Roy.
Aye, very good. Motion carries.
I just want to
thank
make
you
sure
very-
the
Yep.
conditions I have are correct. Roll down doors will be replaced in kind. New gutters will be painted the red color, and all repairs will match approved renderings.
Right, yes. And any objections from the board? No objections noted.
And wait for your permit.
Wait for your permit. All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Have a good night.
Okay.
Thanks, everyone.
Very good. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is another PAR. This is 19-2023-33 William Street. So this is a front yard addition, second story addition, and a rooftop deck. And if we can bring the applicants into the meeting. And then we'll post the drawings on our end.
All right, David, I'm bringing you over now. David, whenever you're ready, you can unmute and turn your camera on, please.
All right, so David, thank you.
Can you see? Can you hear me now?
We
Yes.
we can hear you and see you. Thank you very much.
Sorry for the thing. Okay, my name is Dave Durango. I'm working for Rui Arellano Architect, and we represent the Guzman property in 33 William Street. Is a property in a corner lot entre William Street in Edward Street. It's an existing 3 stories building, and now is one family living there, and they tried to divide the house in 2 apartments, one in the first floor and the other one in the second, using the 3rd floor. The addition, is try to renovate the house because it's in a little bit bad shape, and they try to make, make the windows. If you see the rendering here, they try to make the windows to match existing with the same white trim around. And the color of the siding is in the drawings. They call it up for like a, 1 second. It's a hardy plank. Lime is the color they select. It's also in the drawings, and all the railings and the decking will be composite decking, and the railing will be white and will be composite too. We try to improve the house because if you see in the photos we have there for the existing one, these are a lot of repairs that need to be done. If you see the existing condition, how it looks like, the house need a lot of repairs. But the roof was already done because they have a lot of leakings in the roof, and they made the roof already, it's a shingle roof, and they renovated it. This is the photos for the neighbors around. How is the study of the houses around, and we are trying to improve a little bit the neighbor style, with this new renovation we try to do.
Great. All right, thank you. First basic question. So you're using a hardy plank, so I'm assuming you're redoing all of the siding on the entire house as part of this project?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Because now is like this fiber cement siding, and they try to remove that one and put in the new one.
Okay. And then I see you're doing a nice new staircase up to the front porch, and that's going to be the same white, and it looks like the rendering shows just a natural wood tread.
No, the composite decking will be for the treads and the risers.
Okay. Is that the brown color shown in the rendering, or is that a white?
Oh, I think it's white in the rendering, but the tread is the composite.
Okay. So the tread looks like a brown composite based on the renderings. I just want to make sure that's.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks quite nice. And then how about the cornice brackets? Are those being replaced? Is that existing that you're just painting?
We try to see we can, recover the existing one, yes, and try to painting, because all the trims will be white.
Right. And that goes, I guess, the same for the wood trim around the porch, that you're trying to restore the
Yes.
existing wood, just painting
Yeah.
it white, the hardy plank around the perimeter.
Exactly. We try to, to renovate the things or restore it the most we can. But if not, we needed to remove and, make a new one, and everything will be white and painted,
And sorry, one last question, then I'll open it up to the rest of the board as well. It's just in terms of your gutters and downspouts, I don't really see a gutter there. Is it a white aluminum gutter that you're proposing with downspouts?
Yes, if you see in the photo, maybe it's an existing, we try to do, come out with the match to existing. I have a photo here. They have like a gutter there. Yes, you see it? It's white, leaders and gutters.
Actually, don't see the leader. I guess I see a partial leader.
Yeah.
It's just broken, I'm guessing right now, or is it just photo that's washing it? The photo's washing it out. So it's just go vertically down the front of it. I got it.
Yeah.
Got it. So your proposal is to keep the existing, the gutters will remain in the existing place. It sounds like you just did the roofs. Those are currently functional.
Yes, look, they repaired the roof, recently. I presume, the gutters is still in the place, to working. But, when we remove the siding, we need to put them back, and maybe some will be broken. Everything will be white, like the same things they match an existing one.
Okay, and I do see, just for the record, I see on the porch, you can see a second gutter that's
Yeah.
very neatly
Landing in the other one, yeah.
Okay. Board members, questions?
Yeah, I have one question. You know that in the back, you're looking to put in arborvitae.
Can you repeat the question? I don't hear it very well.
I don't speak, yeah.
You note on your plans that you're looking in the back to put arborvitae in the back.
In the rear, they have a deck, and we make a little extension. If you see in the side plan, in the right side, they renovate the back and make an addition in the right corner. And if you see the elevation and the renderings, we try to renovate that area and renovate also the deck in the back with the same decking, same railing is in the front, will be in the back, and they're using the same materials.
Yeah, but my question was about the plantings.
Oh, yeah. You see, we have planting, if you see there, those little straps around the property to make a little more privacy.
So my question is, how are you going to maintain those? Because left to their own devices, they get extremely tall. And if you're looking at privacy, then you're not going to want to let them get that tall. So I'm concerned about it, both for the people living in this property, but also the neighbors, if those are let to get to their natural size.
These guys, the owners of the property, they are contractors and landscaping. I presume they try to do the best, to keep the vegetation in the good shape. Is in his good faith, to try to do that stuff. Maybe we can select different kind of planting, something more smaller, don't growing at that big, and we can switch to that ones. But like I said before, the guys are, they are contractors and landscaping guys. I think they can do the job to maintain the property and the trees.
Yeah, I'm never convinced about that because you don't know who's going to end up owning the property later or whatever. And I am concerned that we see these going in all over the place. And I believe that in a number of years, we're going to see a whole lot of them being cut down because they're all going to outgrow where they've been put. They're easy growing. I understand why people like them because they do survive in a lot of different soil types, but I believe they are getting put in places they shouldn't. So That's just my concern.
We can accept any suggestion from the board, to make some different kind of trees or
I think-
planting.
I'll step in. I think it is an important note for for you to review and discuss with your client. I think for the BAR approval specifically, we have to, that's not really a condition of the actual physical house, but I think it's an important note and an important comment, something you can discuss with your client, for sure.
No problem. We can do that.
I think it looks great what you're doing. I think it's a big improvement on the building.
Thank you.
Sorry, I apologize if this answer before, but the new extension have trims and brackets that's going to match what's existing, is that correct?
Yes, they need to be the same thing. We try to restore what is existing. If not, we need to make a new ones to match existing. I don't think all the brackets are in bad shape, but the things are in no good condition, and they need to be replaced. They need to match to the existing ones.
Can you tell me a little bit more information about the steps, I guess, at the porch? On the rendering, it looks like it's new. What is the material of the treads?
The truss is the composite decking, these track,
Treads, okay.
and they are, like a brown gray, and the riser would be white, like you see in the rendering. The railing and the posts and everything will be composing, like the same material. It's like a plastic one, or ASAC we call it, but we can make that one. But will be, like a PVC resistant to the weather, because the wood will be routed and will be padded. And this one is to make improvement in the existing condition we have now.
Okay. And the deck and the roof deck, all of that is similar material like the one.
Decks in the same material we have in the front. All the railings and all the posts and everything will be matched. I mean, all will be like the same thing.
My last question is on the new extension. So the new extension would have the party board plank, the siding, light mist. The front of the building, that's is that existing to remain? There's really no notes on the drawing, so it's a little unclear to know whether they're going to be replaced or they are going to be painted.
No. We needed to replace the siding for the hardy plank, fiber cement material, all the way around.
Whole thing. All right, sorry, I missed that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have a question about the front porch. Is that front porch part of the inside living space?
Yes, now is like a covered porch. If you see in the drawings, they show how is the floor plan. We can go to the
Hold on.
initial. Yep. Okay, no, this is the proposed. You need to go a little bit in the back.
I think we're going to show the existing. I think he wants to show the existing.
Yes, I think when I show this existing drawing, I think we have the drawings, the floor plans. No,
Part of
This is,
that
yeah.
space.
yeah,
In-
that one was like a covered porch, like an entrance, but we added the space to the new, the existing family room now is more integrated there.
Gotcha.
And we create like a like an entrance, like a foyer here, like a hallway, and they have that there. But the windows are the same size. We only replace for, match the existing, but that space is integrated to the existing family room.
Just for the record, they did receive the variances that were required from the zoning board.
Great. What variances were those? This was for.
They were set, so it's a corner lot, so there's 2 front yards. So it needed a front yard variance. It needed, I think it was a coverage variance. And to allow tandem parking.
All right.
I have one comment and a question. Generally, I think looks very good and is a big improvement. I remember walking past this house when I had a child at Park School. What I would like to comment, my question is about the number of lights in the windows. There's some variation. Some of your windows are single light windows, and then some have, I think, upwards of 6 divisions. And I know that there's a mix of match of, I'm not sure if all windows are new or if they're all being replaced. And I see, it seems like the transom windows on the porch, that those would stay as is, but generally the other windows, are they going to be replaced, or is it a mix and match of what's existing?
Okay, the owner replaced some windows in the past, and some windows are old, because it's the wood windows, it's single panel. I think in the drawing, we mark it up which one is new, which one is existing. But we try to see, we can, repair. For example, if you see the windows in the bay window we have here in the elevation, that is like a core, it's I think it's a wood windows, these are the really old windows. They try to restore that ones, to match like pretty much new, but the windows they needed to be new will be matched the existing ones, and in the floor plan they show which one are new and which one are renewal.
I think there's just maybe a difference between the rendering and what's on the drawings. That might.
Oh, yeah. Maybe, yes, that's an interpretation, because in the window you see maybe more grills and they.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. But this isn't like an interpretation, because I presume they put in like, is in the library and they bring the window, but the window has those grills. But it's not like that, they don't have those grills in the thing. Because if you see in the reality, in the photo, we have more simple windows, no grills around. For the existing ones.
For the record, the renderings you're showing do not depict what you're proposing. Is that what you're saying?
Excuse me?
The renderings that you're proposing do not depict what you're actually, the renderings you're showing do not depict what you're proposing.
Yes, they just show the volumetric areas and the railing thing, but the windows itself is more in the elevation, because in the elevation is more accurate. Like I said, it's to recreate, but the windows has the grills if you see in the elevation, they don't have it.
Oh, yeah, I think that's clear. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other board questions before we go to a public hearing? Can I have a motion to go into public hearing?
Motion to go into the public hearing.
Isabel Wynn, I second the motion.
Any objections? No objections. We're now in a public hearing. If there's anybody here on Zoom or in the room to speak to this application, if you're let us know. If you're I don't see anybody in the room, you can use the hand raise function on Zoom. And I don't see anybody using the hand raise function on Zoom, so we're going to understand that there's nobody here from the public to speak. Can I have a motion from the board to close the public hearing on this application?
Nina Aaron, motion to close the public hearing on the application.
Carly Leo, second the motion.
Any objections? No objections. The public hearing is closed. I think the presentation was clear. I'm just trying to think if there are any, I think that really everything that all the questions we asked were, I think, demonstrated in the drawings. I think there was the one point of clarification about the rendering versus the elevations, but I think that's always true. The rendering is exactly, it's a rendering. Exactly. So the drawings as shown, I think, are clear in terms of what the design intent is. So can we have a motion from the board to approve the application?
Phil Murray, motion to approve the application.
Eric Talbot, I second the motion.
And we'll do a roll call.
Eric Talbot.
Aye.
Nina Aaron.
Aye.
Isabel Wynn. Aye. Bill Maria. Carla Elliott. Aye. And Chair Roy.
Aye, very good. Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Good night.
Okay. All right, so we are now up to Planning Board 15/2023. This is 10 Marble Place. And this is going to be a subdivision request, taking one lot, turning it into two lots. I think what we can do here is, so we have JB, we can get the drawings up. JB, if you can kind of give us just a kind of an executive summary of what it is you're proposing to do. We do have Tony Grout here on Zoom from Color Sessions, or and then we also have Valerie, and I'll just kind of ask the two of you to kind of give your thoughts and comments, and then we'll have a board discussion. All right, so go ahead.
Good evening, I'm representing Theodore and Jennifer, owners of the property. We have here is a 0.29 acre lot on T zone. It is right now it's a non-conforming use because it has two properties and two dwellings on the site. What we're proposing to do is to subdivide the property in two. So we have, if you can go to the.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. That shows what we're proposing a straight subdivision of the property, so we have then bulk regulation will be non-conform to some of the items, but we have two properties with one house in each. Right now we have a two-family dwelling.
All right, just trying to figure out how to zoom on here.
I think it's all the way down on the corner. Right.
Bottom right, yeah,
Bottom right.
on the side.
Oh, here, sorry.
I think you can also, if you have a wheel on your mouse, you can hold control and wheel it.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. The fun never stops with it. Okay. Apologies.
Our intent is to subdivide the property into two. That will create lot one, which is to your right, and then we'll have a two-story, two-family dwelling, and the other one will have a one-family dwelling. This is a house, especially the house towards the Sing Sing Road, that dates back to the 1800s. We believe it was a part of the old cemetery. I think it was the old stone house, stonemakers' residence. A certain point that became part of the old lot. What we are seeking to do again is to have to reduce the non-conformity and have two separate lots. By doing that, since it's an undersized lot, it creates the necessity for several variances that we're going to be seeking to this zoning board of approval. Keep moving forward. For the record, I believe a few years back, we were in front of the planning board. We had started the process, and it was the more ambitious project like that. We were trying to do a lot of site work. So some of these items that we are discussing here were reviewed back then. There was an existing easement, utility easement that connects some of the properties adjacent to the old cemetery to Marble Place. Then if you can move next. That was a general view of the neighborhood. Again, this is by a nautical circle. This is a picture of the houses and the residents. That's the picture from Marble Place. That shows again the two family on the right and the one family on the left. There is a slate patio and an arbor, and that is outside the property. And we're not maintaining it. Doesn't belong to Theodore and Jennifer, and is, I believe, is part of the village or part of the cemetery.
So who do you think owns or maintains it or is responsible for it? I mean, I know it's in the village right away.
It is in the, I believe it's on the.
It is.
It is.
Yeah.
Is it used by the?
Because at one point, we were in front of the board a long time ago. One of the proposals was to remove the word called that. You can,
Um,
That it's not yours to remove?
Well, because it's in the right of way or because it's Dale Cemetery property?
Right, I think that's one of the questions we have.
Okay.
Before we get into those questions, I'm sorry, just one really point, one clarification. You said that one of these structures is a kind of historic, potentially associated with the cemetery. Is that the
It's the
house
it's
that's
the smaller
closer,
house,
the
yes.
single family?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Is her vacant?
No, it's not vacant, it's occupied.
So, oh, there's someone living.
Yes.
So yeah, maybe we can jump into, some of the, kind of professional comments on this, because I know there's some kind of questions or things that we need to unravel, kind of as, that are very pertinent to our review, and then will be pertinent to some of the potential variances that are going to be requested as part of this application. So I don't know, Tony, if it makes sense to start with you. You want to kind of go through your list and kind of concerns, questions?
Yeah, so because there's nothing really proposed, we just kind of listed out the variances. A couple of labeling which lot was which is on there. You're gonna need a preliminary plat per section 233-8 of the village code. The other concern I sort of had is you should probably dimension your parking spaces so we know that they comply. And I wanted to see how on, I believe it's lot 2 with the 3 spaces, how your turning movements there, because like on the other projects, I want to make sure that you have proper easements, because I don't know if lot 2 is going to back onto lot 1 and use some of that driveway area. It might even be worth creating a whole easement area on both lots.
Making it the whole thing a common use.
Yeah, because I just don't know how, it's not dimensioned on the plan, so I don't know how much space those spaces are gonna need to back out into that driveway, and if they're gonna constantly be going over the lot line. If you're creating an easement, you might as well just incorporate it.
Right.
So that's about it. We have a few comments, label this, label that, but because there's just nothing being really proposed on the site. Again, we had to comment about that slate patio with the frame arbor within the right of way.
Okay, Valerie?
Yeah,
Thanks, Tony.
so, first, I just wanted to touch base on the process. This will be, an unlisted action under seeker, so this board can tonight, declare itself, lead agency. And Linda, do you want to do like coordinator review? So it is meant to be lead agency. The other thing I wanted to note, so one of the things is similar to Tony, that the subdivision plat needs to be updated with like boundaries of the adjacent properties and property owner names. One of the things that we had concerns with was frontage, whether this in section 270-27B, it says that no lot width shall be less than 35 feet measured along the street line. And the question is, it's not clear when Marble Place terminates, and if lot 1 actually has the frontage on Marble Place. So that's something I think that needs to be looked at in terms of when the public street terminates, and also like property ownership. We also noted the encroachments as well. And that needs to be determined as to whether they're definitely village right of way or if it's ownership of other properties. Then the other thing we noted, that the tax assessor, when I was looking at this particular property, lists 3 units on the property. So if that's the case, then that would require 6 parking spaces, and you only have, it looks like, it wasn't sure. I thought maybe you, like on one version, it looked like you had 5. So if you can just, confirm.
Right, so 3 units, and we divide into one property with 2 units, and I think that's will require 1 parking space variance, and the other one, which is 1 family residence, will be sufficient. So
Right, so I think that needs to just be looked at. And then, because I don't think you had parking listed as a variance required.
I believe it's part of the referral from.
Okay, well, but it wasn't listed on the plan, so I just want to
Okay.
make sure that that's all cleared. And then the other concern we had were the easements, because in the actual survey itself, it looked like there were some existing easements, but then you also have proposed easements, so I think we just need, again, very similar to some other projects of yours, we just need information on the easement documents as well as what you're actually proposing, and if you are proposing easements, what those are, and those would need to be reviewed by Linda.
Okay, if you zoom in on that picture, originally where we, those three pictures were depicting where there's a utility easement at the rear. And, I believe both neighbors were present at the last time we discussed this. And, so we'll provide the easement information.
JB, I think, did you have a different plan? Because what you gave to me for referral had some of the things on it that are the questions that are being asked, like the size of the parking spaces, the zoning chart showing all the variances needed that we put on the, that I think there was a more detailed plan.
We do have a zoning chart, and we might have updated some of the plans, but we do not show the parking in this current drawing that we submitted.
I think we also have to look, I know you've got a bunch of things indicated as existing nonconformities that Joe listed as variances. Generally on a subdivision, if it's an existing nonconformity that's not affected by the subdivision or created by the new subdivision, then and I think we can go over this with Joe, we have to look at whether those really need variances, they're existing. Typically, if there's like a setback to the new property line that's non-conforming, that needs a variance, because that's being created by the subdivision.
Right.
Or like the lot sizes. The
Right.
non-conforming lot sizes are created by the subdivision, so I can, take a look at that with Valerie and Joe as well. And, try to finalize that list of variances, but as part of that, we do need the dimensions for the parking spaces. To determine if they're conforming.
Right. And then the lot width,
Yeah.
and the frontage, so is that even eligible to for a variance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's a little odd, as Valerie was saying, the way the right of way, the way the street just kind of ends. And so we have to, you've got to take a look at that and figure out exactly where the street ends to figure out if you have the required frontage.
And I think that one of those aerial pictures that shows that it is kind of, where American Place, like the drive ends, and the one on the top. So that shows, you can see that intersection there.
Yeah, so I would
Yeah.
question whether, again, that the lot, the single family house, whether it has the required frontage.
Okay.
Right, you're just looking at the paving, right, of
Yeah.
where that paving ends on the bridge over the kill. Okay, and so that's obviously an important point of clarity. So it sounds like, and we'll kind of talk about a couple of other things, but just, there's, as far as very clearly defining what those variances are, we need a little bit more information, so we can kind of put that group together and then, hopefully forward that along to the zoning board after we have that clarity. Just want to open up to the board just for kind of questions or thoughts on this initial presentation.
And you're gonna get a subdivision plan prepared by a surveyor.
You don't have to have questions now, sorry. It's okay. I know there's a lot on this one. This is kind of an unusual one, but it's I think maybe what we can do right now is open up the public hearing, if there's anybody here to speak to it. And then after that, we can kind of go back, and I do think one thing we can do today is declare our intent to be lead agency, as was noted earlier. So can we start with a motion to open a public hearing?
So Maria, motion to open the public hearing.
Isabel Wynn, I second the motion.
Any objections? No objections or in a public hearing. Is there anybody here from the public to speak to this application tonight? nobody in the room. If there's anybody on Zoom who would like to speak to this application, you can use the hand raise function. And I don't see anybody doing that. All right, so it doesn't seem like anybody's here tonight. Can I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing on this application?
I will be a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Maria said.
Any objections? No objections. The public hearing is adjourned. Can we then move forward with well, I guess just staff, I think we've discussed everything. Is there anything else we need to talk about tonight that we haven't?
Do a motion to declare your intent.
Okay, so can we have a motion to declare our intent to be lead agency on this application?
Eric Talbot, I make the motion to declare to be lead agency on this application.
Hallelujah, second the motion.
Very good. So declare our intent, and we'll do a roll call.
Okay. Eric Talbot,
Aye.
Nina Aaron,
Aye.
Carla Elliott,
Aye.
Bill Maria, Isabel Wynn, Chair Roy.
Aye, very good. So that carries. I guess now the notifications go through and we'll revisit all of these things next time we see you. All right. A motion to adjourn the application. for tonight.
Isabel, when motion to adjourn the application.
Nina Aaron, second the motion.
Any objections? No objections. Motion carries. All right. Very good. We're now going to move on. So that was the last item of new business. We're now going to move on to continuing business. So the next item up is Planning Board 13/2023 DAR 15-2023. This is for 80 Main Street. So you can bring the applicant up. I think kind of before you guys kind of give your presentation or updates to the project thus far. And I think we're bringing some folks in on Zoom. We got some folks here in person. Valerie, can you just give us a kind of an overview of where we are to date? And just to kind of set the stage, sure.
Sure. So basically, the applicant is seeking site plan approval for the construction to stabilize and maintain the rear yard, and also make some changes to the existing parking area. In addition, the applicant is here tonight also seeking an excavation and fill permit, basically related to testing that's required in order to finalize its site plan approval. So I think tonight's focus is really going to be on the excavation and fill permit. And then also this board can also continue its discussion as to how you want to deal with, or the concerns you raised last time in terms of the rear facade of the building, and completing that in, so that it feels, in your words, like a complete project, and also any potential landscaping, access, those related items.
Okay, great. So maybe we can,
Yeah, just before we
Yep.
get started, Mr. DeVore, I brought you over allowed to speak, so if you would like, and if you could turn your camera on, and then Elio, I have you in twice, so I don't know if you want me to get rid of the other version of you.
Yeah, I denied the other one.
Okay.
I'm joined in on my phone and on my laptop
Gotcha.
as well.
Okay,
So
just wanted to make sure.
thank you.
excellent. So I guess let's bring the kind of most up-to-date drawings up in front. I want to kind of keep the focus on the two areas that Valerie brought up, which is I want to be able to talk about and understand what the excavation and fill request is, so we can understand that, and then also focus on the changes. I know we had lengthy discussions last time, especially focusing around the back of the building, just to kind of really nail in on what's changed and kind of give the applicants some feedback from us as a board on what those changes are, and how we feel about them. So we'll start right here. Maybe we can just get have the applicant just discuss we'll start with the excavation and fill permit. And discuss and just kind of present what make that request, so we understand what you're asking for there.
So. Just gotta get my notes out.
Very good.
Did you see we downloaded this as a PDF?
That's
So
good.
that we didn't have any
Keep it
buffer
around.
like
This is
last
fun.
time. We're getting there, we're learning.
This was a big file.
So in this particular item, Mr. Chairman, I was fortunate to receive a memo today from the honorable village manager, and we were able to get our team together and address the issues as thoroughly as we could. If I can have your permission, I would like to just, I don't know whether the board was able to get our responses, but what we did is we got our engineering team together and they submitted a letter, which I had them stamp, Mr. James Quill, in which he indicates that, do you want me to read the questions that were raised to me?
Yeah.
Or?
That would be perfect.
Sure. I'll try to take these one at a time. So there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 issues raised. The first one was to provide a detailed construction schedule, which outlines the dates and duration of the testing. The response was, there, and is a sequence, is that what we're going to do is we're going to have 2 days of installation of what they call anchors. Then we're going to have 2 days of grouting and the anchor installation. It takes 7 days for the grouting to cure. It takes 2 days to do the testing. And then it takes 2 days to put the report together to issue to the staff, to your consultants. And the drilling, the second question was list the specifications of the machines that will be used on site to perform the testing. The drilling will be done with an Intersoil RAN ECM 370 piece of equipment, which is used for drilling. I might just mention that in addition to the, and hopefully if you need it as part of the excavation permit, there's a little bit of backfilling that needs to be done where the steps go down to the basement. And so we're gonna have an excavator on site. That takes 2 hours. So that will be on site for that period, as well as if needed for anything else. But primarily, it's just gonna be on site for that. I just wanted to disclose that in case the board raises a question about it. We have and that's a 345 Caterpillar GL. I can give you this, Mr. Chairman, if you want this for your notes, my notes. Then the pull testing is going to be conducted using a 2010 20-ton hydraulic jack. And the sequences, which I didn't bother to draft out, are on plan L1 on our drawings. The next question that was asked was whether additional excavation would be required beyond that which has already been excavated. The answer to that is no. The next question is if additional excavation is required, that we submit a plan depicting that. And we noted that, but indicated that none is going to be.
Sorry, I'm just gonna take a step back. So the third question you're saying, was there additional excavation further than what has already been done?
No, sir.
And the answer is no.
No, sir.
Okay, and I know you know, because you noted that there was you said something about an excavator for the stairs to the basement, so.
Well, that's just in connection with the top of the site. It's not part of the excavation permit. It's just some backfilling that we have to do. And I just wanted to make clear that if you see that piece of equipment, it's there just to complete that.
Is that being done as part of the excavation and fill permit?
Only if you think it's necessary.
Yeah, Tony.
Yeah, that kind of sounds like it's, it's kind of going against, show us where you're gonna be excavating. That sounds like it's excavating and fill.
And that was not on the plans, right?
No, I didn't see that, no.
But I would also think that really is not relevant to what they're trying to do now with the testing. So
That's right. And look, we can just ignore that for now. And then if there's anything, if we finally get permits, we can take that up with the building department if that's okay.
well, the thing is but that the staircase and the entrance into the basement is something that's still is part of the site plan approval that the board is still contemplating. So anything that worked relevant to that really is, which in this case would be staircase door, is not really part of this excavation. This is what I would see is to be specifically for the testing purpose.
Right, so what we've discussed is that the excavation permit that the board is potentially going to approve tonight would only be for the work that needs to be done for the
Understood.
testing. Everything else is gonna be subject to the site plan, the subsequent site plan approval.
Thank
Right.
you, Council.
And then to bring that full circle, the comment that you just made, which I think was clear, was that, pertinent to the testing that's needed right now, in order for you to further develop your plan, there is no additional excavation that's required. So any excavation and build permit that we issue is effectively for work that's been done to date.
I apologize for not being clear on that. You're correct, too.
It's helpful, and it's also just helpful for the board who's.
So does that mean that there won't be the excavator on site?
That's correct.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I stopped you midstream. It's all good. So I'll let you kind of keep going. So I know there was a fourth question you were about to enter in on.
No, but that was helpful to me as well. So thank you for that. So the next question was, were basically conditions that I responded to in my written communication today and filing. And that is that there were 4 conditions that didn't require information about, they were just submitted to me. And that was E, no material shall be removed from the site at any time. And I'll deal with all these as one. Any additional stockpiles that may be created should be stabilized and always protected. And that we provide erosion and sediment controls on the entirety of the site and perform maintenance as needed. And that any sediment deposited on the village roads would be swept daily. And my response to all of those last items was that we acknowledge and consent to those conditions, if the board determines that they're appropriate.
Okay. And Tony, these are conditions that you discussed or looked at. I realize this is all relatively last minute. I just want to kind of get your.
Yeah, this is what I came up with. I also kind of sat with Joe from my office, just kind of put our heads together, where do we want to cover ourselves? But the other thing, I just want to make a note that the applicant is saying that there's going to be no additional excavation. I think now, instead of a comment, that should also be a condition, that no excavation as part of the building permit.
Is that with regard to the rear of the building or the whole site?
For the work that needs to be done for the testing.
Thank you.
This is
Thanks.
strictly, we're not talking about the site plan right now. We're talking just about the excavation permit for the testing.
Very good. And I think that's clear and helpful.
Yes.
So taking those now 5 conditions, one of my other questions, and just kind of looking at the site plan and understanding the complications of this site, is that there's 2 adjacent sites. So is there clarity in terms of, it sounds like there is no more soil removal, so there's no impact on the adjacent property, but is there an access agreement in place that's going to allow for this work to be done safely?
Yeah, they have an access agreement that was provided to you previously. It's with the documents that allows them to access 60 Main Street to do this work, the work being on 80 Main Street.
Right, and in this case, the work being the pole testing, the required engineering testing in order to finalize the stabilization plan. Okay. All right, so board questions on this. I know there's kind of a lot of information here, and this was not part of our conversations in our last couple of meetings. So kind of thoughts, reactions, or questions that you need clarified?
This is just a really minor clarification. You're no longer doing that walkway deck at the rear, right?
So I think that's going to be part of our next discussion.
Yeah.
Okay,
If that's okay, I don't mean to.
that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we're kind of splitting this to talk about the excavation permit that lets them move ahead now to do the testing. and then we'll get to the site plan discussion.
Trying to stack the conversations. So we can
Trying
kind
to
of
keep it, yeah.
reach clear conclusions without confusing them.
One other thing that the excavation, chapter of the code says specifically there shall be filed a bond in such amount as may be determined by the planning board and approved by the corporation council or cash to ensure proper and faithful completion of the work in accordance with the terms of the permit issued, and which bond shall further indemnify the village for any damage to the village property. So I think, typically what we put in is that a bond shall be provided in an amount to be determined by the village's consulting engineer.
I was gonna suggest that, yeah. That makes sense. So that would actually be a 6. Is that considered a condition?
Yes.
That bond?
Mhm.
Yeah. So now we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 conditions. Okay. Other comments on this item, on this portion of the application before we move on to the kind of continuance of what we were talking about last meeting, I think largely regarding the back of the building. You can always, if anything comes up, before we close out, we can bring it up. So maybe what we can do now is bring up, I don't know if the drawings, maybe the site plan is probably the best place to start with this, because we have site placement.
If you want, you
Yeah.
can go ahead and do the approval for the excavation permit.
Okay, does that
with
require
those
a public,
conditions.
does that require a public hearing?
I actually. think
I don't
that
believe it
excavation permits
does.
do not.
No, they do
No,
not.
we looked at that
Yes.
Okay.
recently on something else.
That's fine. I could, are there any objections from the board to moving forward with the excavation and fill permit as a kind of as a separate approval right now before we continue this conversation? With what we
And that's
heard?
just to allow the, testing to be done. So that they can come back with the plan for the slope,
Right,
for the plans, and I think Tony has identified which plans the information shows on. Subject to the conditions that have been discussed in the information they've provided.
right. And actually, and I'm just, as I'm kind of looking at my paper here, we didn't list the equipment list as a condition, but I think yeah, a condition should be that the condition that the equipment brought to site in service of this permit would have to be limited to that.
Right.
Equipment listed as
Right.
approved by
And
building. So,
taking out the excavator.
Yeah, so I have
Yeah.
7 conditions. The excavation and fill permit is only for the testing. No excavation, shall take place as part of the building permit process. No material shall be removed from the site at any time. Additional stockpiles that may be created should be stabilized and always protected. Provide erosion and sediment controls on the entirety of the site and perform maintenance as needed. Any sediment deposited on the village road shall be swept daily, and performance bond shall be established and determined by the village engineering consultant.
so the only thing you discussed adding a condition that no new excavation would be
I believe
permitted.
it.
Okay.
Was that, I didn't know if I heard that. And then,
Yeah.
That was there. The equipment list,
The only equipment on site for this work shall be,
um,
and incorporating the schedule also.
right.
The schedule.
Yes, which was, sounded like I don't know if the report needs to be part of that schedule. There was, I think, 2 days added for the report. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
pertinent, but I think I had 2 days for drilling, 2 days for grouting, 7 days for curing, and 2 days for testing is what I had
Is that
heard.
a condition or is that just informative? I don't,
That's fair.
I think it's just helpful. I mean, from my perspective, I'm not sure if Joe or Tony or Valerie feel differently. But from
Right.
our perspective, in case we get questions about, what's going on, and then we're able to sort of stay in touch about, okay, we're on day 8, how's it looking?
So the work
or-
comes out to about 13 days. Granted, there could be weather delays. If we,
That's what I'm concerned
if we
about.
say the work should be done within 20 days, start to finish, 25, I mean, tell me what you think you might need for weather delays. I think that's the easier way to do it as a
Or
condition.
conform with the schedule to the
Degree practicable.
right, or right.
Right, but when are we starting this schedule? Because I still have to.
From
write
the beginning
resolution.
of work.
Right, but so it's, right, but we have to write the resolution first.
Right,
So they
and
have
Joe's
to-
gotta
issue
issue the
right, and
permit,
then
yeah.
issue the permit, so.
Yeah, so I said from when work begins,
Right.
it shall be completed
Right,
substantially in accordance with that schedule.
So will there be a coordination between, because I mean, we may get the permit, but I gotta make sure that the village engineer is also telling us how much of a bond to get, which I.
Yeah, I
suspect-
don't think it's gonna be from the issuance of the permit. I think it should be from when
Date of
work,
mobilization.
yeah, when work commences.
Okay,
The
that-
idea is to make sure that you're not out there doing this work for
for a long-
an
for-
extended
yeah.
period of time.
Well, if I could get permission from somebody, whether it's the building inspector, the engineer, yourself, anybody, that if we do have a weather issue or a problem, that we might be able to go to somebody without bothering the board for a short extension.
I think that the goal here would be for the condition not to be locked into a set number of days, but to say that the work will conform with the schedule. And
Substantially weather permitting.
right,
Yeah.
and I think we can, throw that, to the judgment of the, the village building department.
Or- yeah.
Thank you very much.
Okay. What are we up to in terms of number of, I just want to be clear on this, because I know there's a lot of conditions that we're listing here.
1, 2, 3, 4. I have 10.
Okay. I'm sorry, let's just relist them really quickly, it's just for the record for
So you
clarity.
have excavation fill permit should only be for testing, no excavation as part of the building permit should be performed. No material shall be removed from the site at any time. Any additional stockpiles that may be created should be established and always protected, provide erosion and sediment controls on the entirety of the site and perform maintenance as needed. Any sediment deposited on the village road shall be swept daily. Performance bond determined by the village engineering consultant will be required. No new excavation shall be performed. No excavator shall be brought on site, and works will substantially conform to the schedule.
All right, so we listed, can I have a motion from the board to approve the excavation and fill permit as with the conditions just laid out?
All right, so I'm gonna make the motion with the conditions that we just listed. You need me to go through them?
No. They're good in other record. Let's all say them.
Once again, they're now.
No, we're definitely good.
Okay, we're good. Okay, all right.
And a second.
Second the motion.
All right, and we'll do a roll call.
Okay, Dinah Aaron,
Aye.
Eric Talbot,
Aye.
Isabel Wynn,
Aye.
Bill Maria, Carla Elia, Chair Roy.
Aye, very good. So that excavation and fill vote is approved. So
Can I just ask one question?
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman, do I need to get a building permit for that, or in addition to the excavation permit?
So I'll let Joe speak on it, but I think that's an important question because I don't know how often these come up before this board. So now that the board has granted the permit, I
right,
think we still need a resolution and then Joe, we need the permit.
It would do, once the resolution is completed, then we'll make sure that the whatever the bond amount that has to be established, and you have to put the bond amount, and then you put in an application for the excavation, we'll give you an actual permit for it.
So no building permits required then?
This isn't
In
a building
addition-
permit, right?
Excavation permit, so I
Right.
think just clarify that in your condition, Valerie. And you had referred to a building permit at one point.
No, I said the no excavation as part of the building permit would be performed. That was everyone was concerned about the stairs, so everyone said that
Oh,
no
okay.
excavation that would be.
as part of
associated
a
with the
future, as
building,
part of a
right.
future building. permit.
That might be better wording. then,
Yeah,
as
can
part
be
of-
done,
yeah.
yeah, as
Right.
part of this permit.
But I also want to be clear, because we also talked about no new excavation was being.
No additional
Additional
excavation in connection with the testing.
For purposes of the excavation and fill permit, no excavation that may be part of a later building permit is included here.
But there's also no additional excavation
Right.
being done,
For
so it's two separate.
Right, so I think we had kind of described those synchronously, where they were kind of part of one thing, but there's really two halves of that that should be, I think, clear in the resolution.
We can put language in the actual permit itself indicating specifically for the purpose of testing and as approved by the,
Right, so my first
Excavation.
condition is the excavation and fill permit is only for testing. The second condition is no excavation as part of a future building permit will be permitted. So I had
Right.
the
two separate.
No
Right.
excavation contemplated as part of a future building
So
permit, right?
that just, I'm sorry to prolong this, but I haven't been through this issue before in regarding to, putting in, stabilization of the slope. In some communities, the drilling, believe it or not, into the slope is considered, requiring some additional permits. But as I'm understanding it, correct me if I'm wrong, we do not need, even though this is just for the testing.
Good question.
What do I do when I want to go drilling and putting the nailing of the mesh on the site? Do I need to do anything else?
Well, you're not doing the mesh yet.
No.
No, but
That's
just
gonna
to
be
drill
part
the
of the
Question
site
is,
plan.
when I want to do that, what do I do to get permission to do that?
That's,
That's part of the, that would be
It'll
part
still
of
be
a
part of
future
the site
building
plan, yeah.
permit.
yeah.
Joe,
after
so the
site plan
question
approval.
is, the excavation and fill permit is approved, but the
Right.
actual drilling of the, what are we calling them again? Anchors into the wall, does that require a building permit separate and apart from what we're discussing now?
Well, that's gonna be part of the permit once the site plan approval is approved. And then, once we get through that, whatever that site plan is gonna be, if that includes putting the caging on, that'll be part of the building permit.
No, you're too far ahead of me.
Yeah.
So the question is, the board has just approved the excavation and fill permit.
Right.
Mr. Puro is asking, when they actually, as part of the testing, go to drill in the anchors, as part of the testing, is there a building permit that needs to come out of your office to drill the anchors as part of the testing?
I think there was confusion because I think you said the anchors is part of the netting. And we're not talking about that right now. We're talking about the
Right.
anchors for the testing.
Yeah, so just to be, I'm sorry, Mr. Building Inspector, but I'm a layman, so you'll have to forgive me if I don't really make myself clear on this issue. But as I understand this permit, it's only for testing. Okay, drilling to actually go ahead and put the mesh in and so forth is a separate item. And
Right,
if
well,
that-
my guess would be is if you're drilling for testing now, are you actually installing anchors that are gonna be essentially
Yes.
used to cage later?
That's the problem. We're looking at it as part of the testing process. So, because we have to do the testing on the pull.
Can we put there is a site plan that shows the testing locations, I think there's
Six locations.
6 locations across.
So you're,
It's part of the testing, right?
right, you're boring the holes, you're putting in the anchors and you're testing them.
Right.
And those are the anchors that eventually would be used, or some of
Those
them
are some of them. It's-
would be
Right.
used. So for the ones that are specifically being done for the testing, I would say they were covered by this permit,
Yeah, just
but
wanna
not
make
all
sure.
of them.
No, right.
All right, wait, hang on.
There is
Mr. Quill is raising his hand. He might have some insight here.
Seems like it's done.
Mr. Quill?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, hi. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you can see me or not. But yeah, what you're saying is right. We're going to be putting in 6 test anchors. So, and those are going to be exactly like the final product. The whole reason for putting in the test anchors is to make sure that the calculations that we did as far as the tension, for the rock anchors is going to be is what we designed for. So yes, we are, the grout and the anchor rod is being installed. Once it's installed and the mortar is and the grout is cured, then we're going to be then we'll run the test to assure that we've got the right anchoring tension that will be will be a final product and holding up the net.
All right, so I think we've all got the understanding now that some of the anchors are being put in to do the testing that may ultimately be used for the netting. It's not all the anchors that would ultimately be required. And those, Joe, correct me if I'm wrong, those are covered by the excavation permit that Joe will issue.
So how many of the testing anchors do you need to install? Like about 6?
I think you said six.
It's-
And those are shown on the drawings. I just want to be clear. This isn't, we had this to look at and this was part of.
So the reason why I ask is if you establish the number of testing anchors you're gonna do, we can add that as part of the excavation and fill permit. including
And the other
putting,
is
say,
that there will be 6 anchors installed.
6 anchors, right?
to this.
And then understanding when we get to the point, once you're established that what your testing is going to work, is obviously when if you get through site plan approval and part of it is to do the cage, there's gonna be a lot more anchors that are gonna go in subsequently at that time, which we can do in that permit later. But if we establish the number of testing anchors we're gonna do now, we'll put that as part of the permit.
Right, and so just to kind of close off and clarify, we already did have a condition in the resolution that we just voted on regarding that this excavation and fill is for testing only. What we're stating right now is just clarifying what the condition that we've already stated, which is to say that testing consists of 6 anchor points as shown on the drawings as submitted and reviewed already.
Correct.
So that's I think very clear. I think subsequently, once the site plan is approved, those 6 anchors would then become part of a matrix of anchors that would be part of a building permit and approval.
Part of your site plan.
And site plan approval and all of those things in the future. Right now, they exist only as these hypothetical tests.
And no net till site plan,
No,
right?
yeah, this is
Yeah,
just testing. Just
Are we adding no net too? We keep adding conditions.
No, that was just for the benefit of.
Make sure the net doesn't go up.
Okay. I think with that very clearly as established and understood, maybe we could, let's now move to look at the drawings of the site. Let's look at the site plan specifically. And I think I'll probably start off with just a couple of questions. I think, or I don't know if it's questions or just some preliminary feedback and you hear from the applicant. I want to start initially on the concern that was brought up last meeting about kind of perimeter access and access to this slope facade of the building. I did see, and I don't know that it's, I don't think that this is.
Oh, this is the demo, sorry.
Yeah. All right, let's just put the drawing up so we're being clear. We'll start with the site plan. We can talk about, we can look at the rendering as well, because I think there's some different information in there.
So that's by the way, the plan to reference for the test location.
Right.
Okey doke.
Yeah, I think is the plan with the test
Yes,
location.
let's, if we can maybe zoom just a little bit in on that, yeah, on that hillside of the building. But yeah, okay. So we're looking at kind of a zoomed in section of the site plan. My, what I saw is that waffled hatch on the south side of the building. Well, sorry, the west side of the building, the slope side. I'm just going to refer to it, which is. I don't understand how that's being leveled off, how that's being stabilized, and how that's being maintained as a path. I don't know if that's concrete. I don't know. I would like to better understand how that walkway is being proposed. I think that the purpose of it, the purpose of some sort of walkway that we discussed last time was not make it publicly accessible or kind of any amenity, but simply for a utilitarian maintenance walkway. So, and then in addition to that, there was a split rail fence guard rail system that was proposed, which I would also like to better understand in terms of material. And if this is a maintenance, walkway, we would want to make sure that any barrier that's installed there is code compliant and provides adequate safety measures. So let's start there, and then we can
I'll start by doing the best I can, and then we have enough consultants clothed that we can answer us as we go along. So I received a October 19 memorandum issued by our planning consultant, which raised some of these questions. So I'll address that portion, and then I'll go to a submission that I made on October 5th, which also addresses some of these issues, some overlapping. And then if there's anything I'm not making particularly clear, we'll ask someone to jump in. That okay, Mr. Chairman?
Let's go.
Okay. So the first question that was asked by the planning consultant is on page 2 of her memorandum. And she talked, all right, I won't go into the parking space now. I'll just go into the rear facade.
Yeah.
So the question was, that the planning board had concerns about the status of the rear facade, etc. And I answered that by saying that the changes to the rear facade since the last meeting include a stone veneer added to match the split rail fence at a height of 48, the fence is going to be 48 inches. Planter boxes are added to the top of the rear walkway. A basement door is repainted to match the facade. A green chain link fence wrapping around the basement entrance as well as the rear of the property. That was further explained in terms of the walkway, that it's going to be fully enclosed and fenced in. It will be not open to the public, but it will be open. And my exact response was, it doesn't include a public walkway area at the rear of the building. It prohibits public access. And then we go on to say that behind the building, there will be a walkway. It will be enclosed in part by an 8-foot chain link fence with green mesh interwoven and a 4-foot wooden fence and planters along the balance of the walkway. So that the door in the northwest corner of the building will remain available for access egress solely by the site superintendent and for emergency purposes. But again, that area will not be accessible to the public. So those how we responded, Mr. Chairman, to the questions that were made to try to get something a little closer to what you were looking for. And if, with your permission, maybe I could bring a consultant on if you need it, or a plan.
Yeah, I have some questions, and whether that's, whether you or your consultants are the right person to answer them, I'll put them out there, and then the appropriate staff can answer.
Maybe the architect.
Or maybe the architect. So I think my first question, which I stated before, is materially, like where you can see on the site plan, you're showing a pathway, you have a hatch there. I don't understand what that is. I do know that this is up at the top of rock, and I would certainly be concerned if this was grass or soil of losing that walkway over time and having safety issues. So materially, that's not been described, proposed, and we need clarity on that. I also now, looking at the split rail fence, I wasn't sure if this was a metal or some other kind of more durable material that I would want some clarity in terms of, that kind of comes into the safety components of this. If there's any kind of, whatever a walkway there, that's clearly described for you, and I don't disagree if this is kind of, building, maintenance access and emergency access only. I think that's consistent with what we were discussing last time. But it would still needs to be, safe. So we would want to see those, I want clarity on those 2 points.
Mick, is it okay with you if I walk up and just point out what we did, or is it clear enough? As you can see,
I think it's clear.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So we took remember it had like looked like stucco under the windows. And we felt that after the board's review, that by bringing the, I guess I'm gonna call it brickwork or blockwork down, all the way down to the access way, that it would blend in better with the slope. And the green mesh fence, as you can see, are off to the sides of the building, and the split rail fence, which is only for access for the site superintendent, is along the outside of that narrow walkway. And what we did in that walkway is we put some planters in there to introduce a little bit more green on the walkway. That pretty well describes it.
But it doesn't. I understand that, and those are all visible here, right? And what we can talk about the stone veneer, and I think that there's a lot of positive changes, and I'm not trying to dismiss those at all. I think I'm just asking a question that's not being answered.
Maybe I'm not understanding the question.
Which is how is somebody walking along this walkway? When I step outside onto that walkway and I look at my feet, what do I see? Yeah.
We will give a clarification to what kind of material we have there. You should want to make sure that it's sustainable and it doesn't erode, and if it's either going to be gravel or grass, or how we can maintain it.
right, I mean, is there some sort of curb that's built to maintain some sort of a gravel walkway? Is there a
That's
concrete
correct.
walkway,
I understand.
something that's not gonna go in?
And as per code compliance with the railing, I mean, this is issues for building maintenance at the same. So we feel comfortable and we can review that with Bill again for code compliance.
Sure, and also just how are those wood, how would a wood split rail be? I mean, those are posts that are you drilling into the rock to set up each of these? And if you're going through that work, is there composite material or something like that that might work?
Yeah.
You know, with
I
a
think
similar
that-
look, I
We
think it
have-
looks attractive, I don't have a problem.
How,
with
but
it.
how is it being installed?
How's it work? Yeah, how's that, that should be detailed, is,
We have explored to make that a composite material so there is no maintenance issue.
I think it'd be good to update the plans so that all these are detailed on the plans, because right now we're referring to a rendering and there's no detail from the plan, even for the materials as well.
Yeah, and if you're planning on a curb, how's that curb gonna hold up and not wash down the hill? Is the curb gonna be pinned to the rock? You know, then it's becoming almost a wall.
I mean, almost, this is in an instance where this is just a rendering, but if you look at the way the rendering was resolved on the left side of the photo, it almost looks like there's a sheer wall
I
there.
was gonna say, I think it is a wall right there.
Yeah. I would say you're gonna have to really detail that out because that looks like it's gonna be like a retaining wall. Would have to be pinned to the rock. What's the width of that going to be?
This is straight.
What kind of, then I would assume you're putting material back in there to backfill next. I think there's a lot more to detail on that. The rendering doesn't really tell.
Yeah,
a lot
the
what's-
plans, all we really have is the rendering. We don't have a plan
Right.
with any detail on this.
The plan does show a spatially
doesn't
right of way
match,
with
right.
absolutely zero, right, which is what we're trying to understand, yeah.
I just wanna
Can
go
I-
back Before we go, so I'm sorry, just one second. Just please try to speak one at a time, just for the minutes, and it starts getting distorted with the microphone, so I know it's hard, because we're so excited, but one at a time.
Thank you.
May I ask a question? Some of this?
Yeah.
Okay, so, Elio, if you could help me on this one.
Absolutely.
The rendering looks like a retaining wall. And I'm being asked about that, and we will certainly, on the revised plan, have all of this clear. But at this point, can you tell me what that is? Because I'm not sure what it is.
Absolutely. If you go to sheet C201, we could probably walk through it a little bit better.
Oh, almost.
Almost there.
There you go. That's it?
Excellent.
All right.
Alrighty, perfect. So we could start from right to left. So essentially those stairs, we are proposing a retaining wall to, it's going to be about 35 feet. Essentially, it'll run from the stairs right up and tie into the curb line for the existing parking lot, which is located above that stone mason retaining wall. We do not have that detailed yet because we are awaiting to see what the rock slope looks like in that location. So once we know what the rock looks like in that location, whether it's our team or Jim Quill's team, one of us will certainly detail that wall a little bit better, even if we have to extend out the mesh in that area as well to retain the slope and help with retaining essentially that concrete walkway and that wall a little bit better. Again, we'll determine that once that area is excavated a little bit more. So as of right now, that's essentially why we have that call out on the top right corner that says proposed 35 lineal feet retaining wall to be wall height to be determined after rock excavation. So essentially, we don't know what the bottom of that wall will be. Yep, it's that top right one.
One of the questions I'd ask is I'm looking at the bottom of that planet. You're looking at about a 5-foot wide walkway there.
Correct.
I guess this would be really up to the planning board to decide, but is the 5-foot wide enough to allow somebody to do maintenance on that side of the building? I mean, that building from where you're standing on the ground is about 3 stories high. How would you get any equipment or anything in there if you had to do maintenance on that building?
So the answer to that, if I may, is that we can only make that, we're stretching the walkway by making it 5 feet because we don't have much distance between our building and the end of our property line. And in fact, the end of our property line is in part, into that slope. And we don't want to undermine the integrity of the building. So we have it at 5 feet, and we will identify what the composite material is. But as far as the work on the back of the building, I had indicated in my response October 5 that we have equipment that boom equipment that it can extend out from both sides of the building and can easily reach the entire building without even utilizing that access way to do any work up and down the building side.
Okay, I mean, that's really kind of up to the planning board's decision on that, I guess, but because I know at the last meeting, that was one of the things that I think Seth and the board members brought up about how you do maintenance on that side. And, if the point of having a 5-foot wide walkway there was to somewhat accomplish that, I don't know about the practicality of it, other than you saying that you'd have equipment that would have to extend from both sides to make people reach, say, to the second floor, third floor to do any work, because I'm not sure. I mean, with the 5-foot wide, you're not going to get any real equipment in there. You're not going to get ladders in there.
I can't get any equipment in a 5-foot space anyway. I can't even put a ladder up because the ladder would be almost vertical up the side of the building.
Well,
so
That's the point I'm trying to make. So I don't know if that satisfies
I would
the question.
appreciate, and maybe Tony, this is something you, not necessarily right now that you can look at or give us advice on, but I mean, I would imagine a 4-foot wide pipe scaffolding frame, a mast climber, these are all, apparatus that you could use. If you're only going to go up 8, 12 feet, even in certain locations, right? You have access, you've got the ability to lower materials down to the ground outside the building. Without, I realize a boom, at whatever 120-foot boom can go somewhat far horizontally. I also know I ride booms very often professionally in my everyday life, so I am intimately familiar, and there's a lot of limitations with them as well. So
just for the record, though, Mr. Chairman, I did respond to this.
Yeah.
It may not be to your satisfaction yet, but I did respond that we are, since I know you're familiar with these. So we have a Conger, a JLG 1850 SJ boom lift, which has a 190-foot working height, 80 feet of horizontal reach. So we're going to use that in any. If you want something else of a lower level, we'd have to be advised.
Yeah, so I think we've looked at this, and I'm kind of talking a lot here too, and I'd love to hear from the board, but having that just conceptually not being able to walk on the ground around the perimeter of your building is going to provide a lot of obstacles from a maintenance, from a kind of a buildings operations perspective. And I think that's not something that and I think 5 feet is not very wide, but it's also not nothing. It's a small sidewalk width. And there's certainly scaffolding equipment and other means of access, vertical means of access that would fit in a 5-foot right of way.
Okay.
That's pretty
We'll work on that.
pretty common.
We'll work on that, Chairman.
I think you also brought up some of the. Is that a hand? Actually, I'm sorry, because there's a kind of a turning. I don't know if that's an older hand or.
I see Mr. Quill has had his hand raised for some time. I'm
Okay.
not sure if it's intentional.
Okay. Okay, I'm assuming not for the moment, but there, maybe we can also put the rendering in. Is there an elevation actually? Because this is a BAR application and it needs to be, we've had other conversations. It'd be helpful to have. I think that those changes that you described, and maybe get comments from the board on this as well. But regarding the the taking of the existing stone cladding, bringing it down to cover over. I don't think it's stucco. I think it's just the exposed concrete foundation right now. I also saw there was like a horizontal band in there, which may be kind of the remnants of some existing ledges, I'm not sure, but that'd be helpful to kind of understand that better. And maybe get other feedback from the board on that change as well, because I think maybe a little more resolution on that than some other things.
Right. I think that my biggest question, I just want to make sure that the renderings that they're showing is actually what they're proposing. 'Cause we just had an application that said that was just sort of, so I'm just.
Yep,
Yeah, we need a plan
Right.
with an elevation
Yes.
showing it,
100%.
with what the materials are.
This is a BAR application, right? So all of those elements need to be done and presented the same way as any other BAR application. And that said, I think just in terms of feedback and, if you're gonna come back to us with the proper elevation, I think we do have an opportunity to discuss based on the rendering as which does have some information in it here for sure.
So on that plan, council, we would have, we would have another drawing, and on that it would have the elevations, and it would show the materials, and then it would be labels describing the materials,
Yeah,
etc.
and JB knows what to do.
Just want to make sure somebody has.
For clarification, in this case, since this is an existing building, real elevation would be sufficient.
You're not making any other changes to any other elevation,
Right.
then yes, I think that would be appropriate. I
Yeah,
mean,
just need the
yeah,
one, if that's all.
the one
it's
that's
saying.
changing. Board members, thoughts or questions on any of this?
I have a question about the, just what's in the rendering right now. I think it's related to the gutter system. I believe it's on the stone wall that you're proposing along the foundation. Yeah, and I believe right now it's green, and I understand it's serving a critical purpose to move water away from the building. But I wonder in doing, the proposed work, is there a way to, I don't know, paint it or make it less visible in terms of I don't know if any of the board members have any suggestions about how that could be softened. I don't know if the, clearly you want to be able to maintain it in case there's any issues with leaks and stuff, but I'm not. I think that it could be less visible. That's my.
Definitely, we can apply some material, especially to match some of the color of the stone veneer. And we'll go for.
JB, I believe the intent is to paint it white. William is on the line. I believe he may be able to confirm that, but that is a discussion that I've heard.
I think that the more point is that white will be too visible,
So basically,
I'm just putting that comment out there also for other board members, like, is there, a better solution? I mean, clearly you have white vertical lines along the building, and maybe white is, I'm not suggesting what color to do it.
well, we can do one of two things.
Is this way to address it?
I mean, one thought was that continuing the white line of the storm drain, brings down the amount of elevation shown between the rail area and the underside of the windows. On the other hand, we could certainly make it an earth tone to match the material behind it. Whatever the board wants.
I mean, I actually agree, Eric, with what you were saying, which is that the white color, you actually already have kind of have this grid of white trim on the building. I would be very anxious about adding a new element. I think taking the stone all the way down is the right thing, so you're not making it too busy, but maybe there's there's a way to soffit that out, and maybe even go across, even, there's that bay on the far left side of the image that we're looking at right now. It's visible, you don't need to move it. But where you can see the storm drain stops, maybe that's just a white decorative band to a stone on that location. The stone continues underneath it, so it kind of matches what you have above. Just kind of included in the design rather.
With the proportions of what's coming in. Yeah, and I don't know what they, I just, it's just a comment.
I certainly
That's
don't
what,
know.
you know, think about how you might address that in a thoughtful way. Right.
Okay.
Other questions or thoughts on the VAR here?
Just a couple questions. There are some sensors that are there, so is there, in terms of maintenance, is it the idea is that it's going to be physically, as part of the maintenance to be water, or is an irrigation system going to be in place to kind of maintain that? That's one thing. The other thing is, I think we already talked about the railing. This looks more decorative, doesn't really scream out safety. So I think that's just something to revisit. And lastly, lights at the walkway. I know this is not supposed to be for public, but I don't know if there's any lights to be there, also for safety precaution. Anything like that on the site plan, so just to address this.
Good points. All right. Brother Bill, any questions or thoughts on it at this point? Anna?
No, I think my walkway question has been well and truly gone over.
Half an hour of it. All good. Okay. Does that give you kind of the feedback that you need to kind of, I think it's like, look, I'm happy that this is kind of going, I think, in a good direction. I think we're getting closer to, we're very close to where we need to be on that portion of this review. I think before we move on from this conversation, we are talking, this kind of now parlayed from the site plan issues with the pathway and retaining walls to the VAR issues here. I think are there any other site plan comments, you know, maybe pertinent to the parking lot or any other areas that need to be brought up, Valerie, specifically at this point? Or I know those are in your comments and letters.
Right, I do not have any at this point.
Okay. Okay, so, and
I'd like to just iterate that, show us how the material is going to stay at the top of the hill. That's a big point. Concern with that.
We could come up with a detail for essentially getting the posts into the rock. This way they don't move at all.
I also mean the walkway itself, the material. How is it going to stop that from washing down the hill? I'd like to see that detailed.
Understood.
It's a rock. It's all rock. We're wrapping the cage on top of the catwalk.
No, what you have shown now along the post and rail, it looks like it's a soil walkway.
Yeah, it's all rock. It's solid rock. We're wrapping we're wrapping the steel on top of the catwalk. It's getting pinned on top of the catwalk. It's all rock.
Whatever that walking surface is, whether it's a steel mesh or a grade, whatever that walkable surface is, that needs to be shown, drawn, described. That's not what's shown. It doesn't appear to be what's shown on the plans right now. You have a walkway. That walkway needs to be defined. I think that we've looked at that.
No problem. We'll just show a section showing that it's rock and that the cage is wrapping the top of the catwalk.
Yeah,
We gotta see what you're
we'll need to
proposing.
see it, and then we'll take a look at it. Okay, and so, all right, so just procedurally right now, can I have a motion from the board to reopen the public hearing on this application?
Bill Maria, motion to open public hearing.
Isabel, we in a second motion?
Any objections? No objections, the motion carries. There is nobody else in the room right now, unless my view is obstructed. If there's anybody here from the public to speak to the application, you can use the hand raise function. And I think that the only hand that's up, it's an attendee, right? That was out,
Yes,
the hand up.
that's the
Yeah, okay. All right, so there are no hands. Can I have a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to adjourn the public hearing.
Idea second the motion.
Any objections? No objections, the motion carries. Okay, so I think that you guys have, I think your direction, marching orders. I think just kind of any last minute staff comments or questions that we need to cover before we adjourn tonight. for this item?
No, I don't have any. Tony, do you have anything? Oh, Joe? Okay.
Nothing further.
Okay, awesome.
I have one quick question. Is that okay?
Yes.
So essentially, what is the process for obtaining approval here? Once we obtain the data from the poll tests, how will we go about getting approval? Essentially, would that be a conditional of approval? Would we have to come back in front of you to show you that the proposed method works? What is the general process that we need to follow here, just so that we could make sure we have everything for you, and then we could just make the process easier for everybody?
Well, I guess Tony can add to that, but I would assume whatever you come up as your analysis for the integrity of it is gonna get checked by Mike Macri. He'll go over it as well as a consulting structural engineer to see what you're proposing works. And then I guess that he'll consult that along with Tony and Kelly Sessions on all what you're proposing to do, and then the board will vote for a site plan approval if they like what you're proposing.
Can't that be a condition if the board decides to approve the site plan, or is that gonna be part of the site plan?
That would be part of the site plan. So you'll engage in your technical analysis, present that will be vetted by the village's professionals. And then that will be integrated into a site plan once that's been established and reviewed, and this board has the assurances from the professionals that we rely on. Then we can proceed with our final site plan approval if that's where we go.
So the only.
Sorry, Al. Essentially, so is that the major concern on your end? I know we discussed a few items today, but I personally feel that those items we could wrap up relatively easily. So I just want to understand what your major concern is with the proposed development, just so that we could really hammer that point home.
We need all of it. We need to see based on the testing, the final plan for dealing with the slope. We need the questions that have been raised today about the walkway, the material, how that's gonna work, how it's gonna be constructed, what the fence is, how that's gonna be constructed. All those things that were discussed, the board needs all of those. And plans and information for all of those to be what they will approve as the site plan as part of the site plan approval.
Are we anticipating further changes to the parking lot with the islands or we're stopping here? Okay.
Nope. No further changes to the parking lot. I believe both Nelson Pope and Kellard have reviewed that quite in some detail, and there was one general comment about space number 21 backing up safely. And we have, I'm not sure if you've seen it or not, but Al did send over a plan depicting that that vehicle could make the turn safely.
So JB asked a good question.
We will submit all the material, all these changes we spoke about, but for the next submittal deadline, to be able to be by next month, I'm not sure that all the testing of that will be done. So whenever the testing is done and submitted, then we will have all the items vetted, and then we should have one item left.
Well, yeah, I want to make sure, but we intend to come back with your permission to the next meeting to get the new renderings done and the information about the walk and so forth. And maybe simultaneously, we'll be working on the testing, assuming we get the bond done and the permit issued and all of that. But if not, at least we can get you more information on the site plan.
Yeah, I think we would evaluate what you have before the next meeting, and if you've made progress, that makes sense for us to evaluate that and check a few more boxes off the list, then I think that would be appropriate.
Okay, great. Yeah.
So just from my understanding, the fieldstone that's existing, the veneer that's attached to the foundation now, in our last board meeting, you thought it would look nice for us to extend that natural fieldstone veneer down the foundation to the catwalk. And that's what we did in this rendering. So I'm confused on what you are actually wanting to see now. We were just trying to match the existing veneer that was on the foundation that is there now.
Yeah, so I'll understood. We we had a long conversation about that. I think this board, nobody on the board raised any objections to that change. We thought that was actually very nice. There's some development and some nuance that needs to be made with regard to the drainage, but most just representationally, we have a rendering. We don't have any, architectural elevations for us to kind of to review and to ensure that, everything dimensionally and materially is the way that it's supposed to be. So that's an important next step that will come along with whatever design development happens between now and the next meeting.
Bill,
All right.
Bill, I'm way beyond that. So, I can certainly address any of these questions with you tomorrow.
Okay. So I think we're good there.
Thank you. Thank you for letting me understand that.
All right, thank you. Can I have a motion from the board to adjourn this item for this evening?
Eric Talbot, I make a motion to adjourn this item for the evening.
Bill Murray, second.
Any objections? No objections.
I'd just like to make one
the
more
item.
comment to the record.
We
okay.
Okay. You can thank us.
Chairman, I'm not thanking you. It's up this one here. I want to thank council. She was very helpful to me the last couple of days, and Maddie, just thank you very much. And Madam Planning Consultant, thank you, because the questions allowed us to focus and get the information to the board. So just thank you.
You can thank the chairman too, because he was part of it.
All right, if I have to.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so, all right. I think
it's fine.
Thank you very much. See you next time. So that's it. I don't know, if there's any updates that we need. Valerie is trying to adjourn
I
items.
just want to talk about a couple things.
Yeah.
All right, so 19 Camp Woods, just to let the board know, they did do some little bit of resubmissions, and we felt that there needed to be more information before we could bring it back to the board. We specifically asked that they respond to all the comments, both from my memo as well as Code Sessions memo, and specifically dealing with access and encroachment issues on 99 Croton Avenue, and again, easement issues on 19 Camp. So both of those, 19 Camp and 99 Croton Avenue, both had some initial submissions, and we just felt that none of them responded to all the comments, and we told them basically we were not putting it on the agenda until such time.
Okay.
And so I'll keep you posted, because, we'll see how the applicants decide to respond and whether they actually provide us the information that we're looking for.
Okay.
The 142, 144 South Highland Avenue, that's going to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
Right.
For Snowden Avenue, we had a site visit. The applicant is supposed to be providing us basically engineering drawings and information on what took place on site. There was basically filth brought in on site and a disturbance done to the site. So therefore, a lot of the environmental review that has been conducted so far from this board needs to be resubmitted again, especially with some of the wetlands, also some of the topography. So there's a number of things that have been disturbed on site, and they have to resubmit the environmental information again for seeker purposes, as well as rectify some of the issues on site for the building department as well as engineering.
Okay.
So that is still to be determined at this point, and we're waiting for information from the applicant. For 171 Croton Avenue, this applicant became before you in September. We have not heard from them, so it's only been 2 months. The one I want to talk about also tonight is 196 North Highland Avenue.
Yeah.
This application hasn't been before you since July. Jamie reached out to the applicant, sent both the applicant and JB an email asking where the status is of this application. We did not hear anything. So what I'd like to do is have Jamie authorize Jamie to send an email back to the applicant and their NJB to state that if they do not appear and resubmit at that point at the next meeting, the board reserves the right to remove this application from the agenda, and then they can resubmit like new applications when they're ready to move forward.
Are there any objections from the board to pursuing, to moving forward that way on 196? Okay, so
So
that's
we'll
fine.
send them an email, letting them know that they have to submit for next month. If not, the board's gonna consider it. Thank you.
Very good. All right, guys, have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Bill Murray, motion to adjourn the meeting.
Carly, a second motion.
Any objections? No objections. Thank you guys very much.
Good night. Thanks, Tony. Thanks, Phil. Thanks, James.
Carol, have a good safe ride home. Enjoy the
Night.
rest